Well, hello, Cisco Nation. Good morning to all of you from the RAI in Amsterdam. We are coming to you live here in the Cisco TV broadcast studio from Cisco Live 2025 Amsterdam. It is so great to have all of you with us. Thank you for joining from wherever it is that you happen to be, whether it's at work or at home or anywhere and everywhere around the world that you are tuning in. I'm Steve Moulter, and I am joined this morning here in the studio right away by another one of my excellent co-hosts, Alpa Tankaria. Good morning,
Steve.
Alpa.
Good morning. We're back. Day two, yes.
We are back day two. I'm going to say this right out of the gate at the top of day two. You are spectacular. You jumped in with our team yesterday morning. First time that you've had an opportunity to do this. You took to it like a duck to water. All of a sudden, just excellent. And your content's been great. And your personality, your energy, your charm. And bravo. Just great to have you on the team, my friend.
Thank you, because I have wonderful colleagues.
Well. All right, fine, we'll take it. So, as you know, I'm anchored here. I never get to leave. I stay here in the studio, but you've had a chance to walk around out in the world of solutions, to be over in the keynote space. Give me kind of a quick overview. What was your experience like yesterday?
Yeah, well, we have to start with the keynote. I got my light thing. I was totally enjoying the vibe. It was absolutely amazing seeing the passion and energy coming through from our leaders, listening to Oliver and Jeetu talk about all those exciting new announcements as well. We're going to touch upon 40 years of Cisco as well. Amazing. Just really reflecting on what is more to come. Then I headed over to the sustainability zone. Beautiful. I mean, again, there's so much that we should and could be doing, and I just love that Cisco's helping us pave up the way to do that. And of course, interviewing Denise Lee was a particular highlight for me. Yeah, and as was talking to both Sarah Walker and Cynthia Kutsia on an inclusive culture, so powering an inclusive culture for all, and the role that Cisco plays in that, and how we can really make a positive impact, to our communities. And you've just got to look around the world of solutions to see the technology that brings that all to life, that makes such a big impact. Right, and that's all of you out there doing that, on the day. So inspiring. It was a brilliant day. I loved it.
Truly, truly, and I'm glad that you brought that up because it's funny. Up until last year, a year and a half ago, we were still talking about Cisco's goal of positively impacting 1 billion people by the year 2025, and we hit that goal so early we stopped talking about it. We just blew past that billion mark, and that's really what we're all about now: sustainability, inclusion, making sure that everybody has access to the latest and greatest in technology, in AI capabilities, and I'm so glad that that was a highlight for you.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of preview a little bit about what's on tap today, because we've got a very full, packed, and impressive day ahead of us. Let's talk center stage right briefly. Redefining Universal ZTNA. Wow, Zero Trust, big talk. All the ways that we are unlocking digital resilience through unified observability. We are going to dive into accelerating infrastructure modernization and execution strategies for AI, of course, and so much more coming to us out from center stage. We'll go to that in about 26 minutes. And then, Alpa, everything happening here, right? Our executive interviews, like you had with Denise, out on the floor in the world of solutions, behind-the-scenes exclusive conversations for all of you. We've got deep dive demos taking place out in the Cisco Showcase. So stay with us on the broadcast. So much coming your way, and we invite you all to be a part of it. And in fact, why don't you go ahead and do a little social media hit for us, if you would?
Yes, well, Social Media Central is one of my favorite hangouts. So everybody, join the conversation, tag us at Cisco Live EMEA, and don't forget to use hashtag Cisco Live EMEA. We want to hear from you, so shout us out to Steve and me. We're looking forward to hearing from you and your thoughts as the day progresses.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this week, we are celebrating 40 years of Cisco innovation here in Amsterdam, 40 years of what Cisco's been able to do. We want all of you to be celebrating with us. Take a look.
I joined Cisco in 1999, but let me take you back 15 years earlier. My parents, for my 14th birthday, gave me this. And I know I put some smiles on some faces. This is a genuine ZX Spectrum from a UK innovator called Sir Clive Sinclair. And basically, it got me into IT. Now, when I started at Cisco, I started as a systems engineer in pre-sales. And I guess the reason why I'm still here in my 27th year is because it's one organization and many careers. I've been into sales management, I led public sector, I led collaboration, I went into strategy and planning, a fabulous career, but foremost, I mean, the people that I work with was second to none. We have more than 20 iconic products here. The one that I remember having the most fun with is the Celsius IP phone. It was so ugly. but I was so proud carrying it around as a system engineer to our customers and show them this phone. It could talk IP. Another iconic product still think is the whole wireless. When it was introduced, that was magic. Just having your laptop with this big gray PCMCIA card sticking out of it, but without a cable, you suddenly had access to the internet. Life was great. We sometimes think we live in a hyper-connected world, but honestly, I think we're just scratching the surface. 40% of the world is still not connected to the internet in any meaningful way. So when you take our latest vision, securely connect everything to make anything possible. If we keep firing on our 3 cylinders of innovation, meaning our acquisitions, spending our R&D money, and partnering up with other companies, the feedback from our customers and partners is priceless. And we make every effort to include them, to improve the experience and have that as a critical ingredient for all our innovation going forward. So very important indeed. The future is very bright for us.
Phenomenal. All we have come through together, all we have created together in the last 40 years, just remarkable, Alpa. You mentioned yesterday morning the opening keynote, so powerful, so interesting, so much great content, led out by Jeetu Patel, and then right after the keynote, Rob had an opportunity to sit down with Jeetu right here in our Cisco TV studio. Let's roll that conversation.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I'm here with G2, and I really enjoyed the keynote this morning. So much to keep up with, so much you're now responsible for.
They give these jobs to anyone these days, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you didn't work your way into this position, but we'll leave that aside for the moment. So, but specifically with so much disruption in tech, it feels like, especially, it feels like daily, but especially over the last month, seismic changes. I feel like Cisco's right there in everything. How is this changing kind of how you think about Cisco's product direction? How's it changed in terms of how we look at this going forward?
So I think some things don't change and other things change completely, right? And so if you think about the things that don't change, you got to build products that have an emotional appeal for people and build products that people love, that are great quality, that just work, that are asymmetric to whatever might exist in the market, so that you're creating a different way of looking at things than the way that it's been solved before, right? That doesn't change. Right. That's a formula for good product people. It'll stay on forever.
Yeah,
it's very durable.
Almost a principle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What changes, though, is if you think about the stack that you build an application with in the market and the infrastructure and the security required to go out and make sure that that stack's working effectively, changes completely, because you're going from a completely deterministic model of building software and building technology, which is like very predictable. Like this is, I got to get X, Y, Z done and I get A, B, C out.
Deterministic, yeah.
To a fully non-deterministic model. AI by definition, the models are by definition non-deterministic,
right,
which means they're unpredictable, which means that you're trying to build predictable applications using unpredictable foundations. And so what you have to have is a translation layer which provides guardrails to say, this thing is not going to behave the way that you want it to behave in these scenarios.
Right.
And so do these offsets to compensate for that so that they do in fact behave the way you want it to behave. Don't allow the system to go veer off in different directions. And that is where Cisco can play a massive role with safety and security. And then the second thing that's changing quite a bit is, you're going to have agents all over, and when you start thinking about what's actually happening with AI, it's fascinating in the sense that machines have needed a different language to communicate with other machines.
Right.
They've historically been API interfaces.
Right.
Now, for the first time, the operator that OpenAI launched didn't require an API. It just used the human language of a graphical user interface.
Yeah.
The way that a human communicates with a machine is the way that a machine is communicating with a machine, which then opens up possibilities that did not even exist before.
Right.
And that, in my mind, is a super fascinating thing to ponder.
I find that the whole area has been very mind-opening and been fun to embrace. I love how word-focused Gen AI is and what that means for somebody who's always grappling with how do we explain things. And so I enjoy it, but I was struck by in the keynote, but correct me if I'm wrong, it does feel like we are actually starting to build unique combinations of things that may have been separate before, from security to switching to what we talk about, the smart switches, to the Pensando and the DPUs, and what we're doing there, we're going to see more of that, I would assume.
We're going to see more innovation for sure, and we will partner with the ecosystem better. But more importantly, what we're going to do is we're going to thread the needle really well across all of our technologies in a way that it feels like one harmonious whole, rather than a bunch of piece parts.
Yeah.
And that's, in my mind, what a platform is. So there's a few characteristics of a platform. One, it lowers the marginal cost of ingestion.
You're speaking to the platform advantage specifically, yeah?
That's right.
Okay.
Right? We're building platforms now.
Right, yeah.
Right? So it lowers the marginal cost of ingestion. The second thing it does, it compounds value with something that you might already have.
Also good, yeah.
The third thing it does is it allows people to explore and derive value in ways that you, the builder, had never imagined it would derive value. You know, so people will start using it in ways that you had never thought they would use it.
Kind of part of that open-ended, non-deterministic type of outcome, yeah.
And then fourth, it's going to be this kind of thing that allows you to do things that you were not able to do with standalone products, because this is not just pulling it together for simplification.
Yeah.
It's pulling it together so that you could now do things by correlating data sets that just physically weren't possible to do.
Yeah.
And so why we are so different is that platform advantage because of our breadth. And then the depth in each one of the products that we have brought in is so profoundly huge that if we just tied it all together, it unlocks a very, very different kind of opportunity for us as a company.
You know, I've been struck multiple times as we were kind of focusing about this 40 years of history here. When you go back and how do I put myself in those moments? Because I did live through all those, although Cisco started when I was still in high school and I wasn't paying any attention, and to high school even. But as we've been building these, what changes in networking specifically for Cisco, and what role does the networking play in this going forward, do you think?
So the obvious answers are better, faster, cheaper.
Yeah, the good ones, the previous answers, yeah.
But beyond that, I think the different workloads will require will have different demands from the network. So if you think about training infrastructure, over there, low latency, a high performance, better power consumption.
Yep.
Right? But then you go into inference and things change again.
Yeah.
Because if you look at an operator effect where you have agents talking to each other and they come back to you in a couple hours, nanosecond latency doesn't matter as much.
Right.
But what really matters maybe is memory to keep context.
Right.
What really matters is maybe energy efficiency. What really matters is a seamless interconnect for agents that might be in different areas that need to talk to each other. And those kind of things might actually have a very different and profound effect. Then you take it to the other extreme. I have robotics. Boy, I might need a very different level of latency in robotics than what I might need otherwise, and I might not even be able to have it go, you know, it might have to be processed locally, so the processing on the edge might be more
the edge
important.
growth and then the connectivity to be there, right?
That's right.
Because it's a different set of work happening. Okay.
So I think like what you'll see is different characteristics for different use cases on training, on inferencing, on test time compute, and all of these, and I feel like inferencing, especially with test time compute, is going to make the inferencing market a few orders of magnitude larger than the training market. Not just 10 times larger, maybe 100 times larger, maybe 200 times larger.
Because that's more on the application side. Yeah, what are we doing with it?
Yeah, because every agent is going to have to think and introspect and do chain of reasoning and ponder whether or not what you told it to do and it came up with an answer for was the right one before it gives it to you.
Got those loops.
And that pondering requires loops of compute.
Yeah.
And that requires engagement and collaboration with another agent where you may need to get some data from and ask it to do some compute. And those are all very different things that need to get thought through on
That's a good
the
point.
infrastructure.
Before we run out of time, I'm just curious, Splunk, been a huge acquisition, obviously very important and popular within Cisco. How is that going from your perspective?
It's going great. Look, we have a great team. I think Kamal Hathi was here, who's the leader of the data platform team there. He's done a fantastic job. He just came on from Microsoft, and already you're starting to see, like, you know, he's a guy that loves to just innovate, and he loves jamming on this stuff. So, like, first time I saw him, I was for breakfast on a Saturday morning, and we just jammed, and he put together a team that afternoon, and he's like, we're going to go at this.
It's fun to work with people like that, yeah?
The speed and the tempo and the sense of urgency, I value that a lot because I think speed is your time is your enemy in software and in tech, and I think we just can't afford to have time be a limiter for this stuff. So
I feel like they're a good culture match with us as well. I've always enjoyed working with them, and it just felt like a, why didn't we do this earlier kind of moment, but you know.
Well, they had some problems they had to fix, and so they got those fixed, and then we actually did it. So.
Okay, so I wasn't baiting you into anything, but I like the answer. So just final question here in terms of, we look for the next 40 years, where are you most excited about? Where do you think that's going to come from?
I'd say it's impossible to predict 40 years out, but I do think that the level of underestimation that's done on the possibilities with AI, I think people are still thinking about this very linearly.
Yeah.
Which jobs is it going to take away from you? What you have to think about is what is it going to be able to do that humans can't do?
Yeah, how does it change the jobs we already have?
I mean, how are you going to cure cancer with it? How are you going to make sure that you get from point A to point B in 1/10 of the time?
Yeah.
Like, what are all the possibilities of what AI will be able to allow us to invent that we by ourselves could not invent? And what is that going to be able to bring to humanity that's good? And also, keeping in mind, don't wear rose-colored glasses all the time. What is that going to bring to humanity that could be really bad?
Yeah.
And don't be delusional about that, but don't let that actually prevent you from doing the things that are good. Yeah. And then working with public-private sector and the partnerships we need to have over there is going to be pretty important. Working with governments on regulation and influencing that will be pretty important. So I think there's a profound set of changes that are happening, and I couldn't be more excited because Cisco is in the midst of all of these changes.
Yeah, as we should be.
And it's something that we had not done in the cloud. We were not in the midst of the cloud's change over here. Like, without us, this thing has a different arc than with us.
Yeah.
And that to me is exciting.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's an exciting time. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, and I'm going to be parsing your keynote for weeks, just pulling out different things that I want to chase down and get more information on, but appreciate
there was a lot, and we haven't figured out the art of distillation. I wish I could have gotten it done in less than 80 minutes, but I just don't know how because of the amount of information that we had to.
I know you left a lot out already, and that's what's always, and that's normal. Yeah. No, you're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate that, and thank you.